We are back on Nittany game week. Let's call it the calm before the October storm. The Nittany Lions see it coming. A final 7-week stretch of their Big Ten schedule that includes the Wolverines, Golden Gophers, and the Buckeyes. Coach Bradley, Coach Paterno, not sitting around during a bye week. You're using the extra time to take a look at your own team and then the upcoming opponents.
And that's exactly what we're going to do, Todd. We're going to start by looking at the next 3 opponents before the end of the month and talk about what's a little bit different from what they did last year compared to this year. So we'll take one play each. Let's start with the Michigan Wolverines because they're up first. Last year with McNamara, did not have as much of a run threat at the quarterback spot as they do with McCarthy this year. And, Tom, you know that puts a lot of pressure on those guys out here when the quarterback is a threat to run the ball.
Yeah, I hate when those guys can run the ball. And by the way, can you get me one of these for Christmas for my house?
Yeah, moderate. Let's take a look at the video how this opens up the inside run. And Michigan right now one of the top running teams in the country, and that adds some pressure to it. So let's talk about the Gophers. Let's take a look at what the Gophers are doing a little different. The biggest thing with the Gopher offense right now is Mo Ibrahim, the running back, 5'10", 210. He is a downhill guy. They're going to kick out here, move that, and he's going to go north and south, straight ahead. Tom, you love that. And when you're in the secondary, when you see on the video, what do you tell them?
Buckle up, because it's coming. And
Yeah.
Great pad level. He's got great pad level when he runs with the football.
Yeah, very decisive north-south, and that safety was like,
Ouch.
I'll tackle this guy and maybe not. But let's talk now about Ohio State. One of the most drastic things has been their change of defensive coordinator. Last year, they gave up 41.1% on third downs, which was 13th in the Big Ten, 14 teams. This year, 27%, 11th in the country. Playing more zone behind it, Tom. And just talk quickly about how much.
This is an interesting concept because it's 3 deep, 2 under. It's still 6-man pressure. It's kind of an exotic zone defense is what they're doing, and it's been very successful for them this year.
And you can see they get to the quarterback. They make you hold the ball a little bit and make things happen. The other thing you do during your off week is you talk about what Penn State, they're going to look at themselves and see what they've done. So let's take a look at a couple of things. A lot of people on Saturday, what's going on with the fumbles? The reality is sometimes you just got to give it to the other team, make it a great play. But here, it's a tough situation for Nick Singleton because it is a long play going to the outside. The guy coming across blocks the corner, and you'll see the safety has a free run at him, Tom. And that's what you want.
And that's what you want. In this particular case, I think we should have blocked the safety, who I think is a better run defender, and let the corner. The running backs don't like to see the safeties. They don't mind the corners.
Exactly. Well, corners, if safeties could cover, they'd be corners. If corners could tackle, they'd be safeties. But that's tough to deal with. Okay, let's talk about some of the things. We talked about the turnover. One of the great things Penn State did was great sudden change defense. They got them into second and long of the 5 plays right after the turnover, total of 14 yards, a lot of second and longs, which allows you to play coverage with 2 safeties back here, and then they got to hold the ball a little bit longer and take a look at what happens up front. So you'll see Northwestern's quarterback gets back there, and here comes Tarburton around. Next thing you know, the ball's on the ground. And
he has to know when to get rid of it. He's got to have that clock in his head. You've coached quarterback for years. You know what it's like. Hey, get rid of it.
Yeah. So let's talk about one more thing with Penn State now. They've had to rely on their secondary and their linebackers to get more pass rush. And when you do that, that puts you into a lot of man-to-man situations, Tom. And I know there's really not a lot of help coming from this guy on out-breaking routes. Take a look at the video on this one.
Well, here's a case right now where he lost his leverage. He took good outside leverage to start, then he lost it, and he could get no help from the safety then.
Yeah, now let's take a look statistically at what Penn State's looking at in the next couple weeks. You're going from the first 5 games. The combined record was 10-15. It's going to be 14-1 the next 3 games. You look at the differences in the average rank offensively of the offenses they're going to play. And then when you look at the next one, you look at how balanced, the unfair imbalance, to use a pun, of all these teams are averaging over 200 yards on the ground and through the air. So, again, they're going to have to play both sides. Can't make them, can't just take one thing away. And then finally, defensively, a big jump from the defenses they've played to the ones they're going to play. So that's going to be a challenge the next couple of weeks. It gets a lot steeper. And during that off week, that's what you want to look at. Todd?
Thanks, fellas. Of course, we like to keep tabs on the conference along with the Nittany Lions. Absolutely stunning move made by Wisconsin earlier this week when they part ways with successful head coach Paul Chryst. His interim replacement is a former Badger, Jim Leonard. Fair to say he was caught off guard as well.
We're all here because of what Paul Chryst had done and the trust that he had in us. So very emotional on our floor as well as the players. So, I mean, really, initially felt like there's very little I can say to this team to handle that emotion in the moment. You know, it hurt a lot of guys, and had a lot of conversations with the team individually as units, and then starting to reach out to individual guys as well, just because everyone's going to handle it a little bit differently.
Chryst took the Wisconsin job after 3 years at Pitt. He finishes 67-26 with the Badgers, 6-1 in bowl games. The team is 2-3 so far this season. Up next, a Nittany Lions legend joins us, guide at Penn State to their most recent Big Ten championship. Trace McSorley is our Impact interview. We reminisce about his days suiting up for the blue and white. Nittany Game Week is coming right back.